to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will move into our consensus agenda.
So I move we approve the vouchers from last month, and the claims were a total amount of $748,219.01. We had two payrolls, they totaled $502,249.18. Brings us a grand total expenditures of $1,250,468.19. Along with that, I would recommend that we approve the minutes from our last two meetings.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. On to personnel. Oh, nope, patrons' comments. Since there's no one in attendance, we will move on to personnel.
All right, I'd like to recommend the approval of two resignations. Those are bus drivers, Ashley Rice and Gail Lemler.
I move we approve those resignations.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
I'd like to recommend the approval of Aaron Talbert as a full-time bus driver, taking one of those positions.
Move we approve Aaron Talbert, full-time bus driver. Second.
It's been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
I'll go ahead and use this time. I do have it in my report, and I'll skip it then, but we have had 8 drivers interested, or 8 individuals interested in driving. So we are down one route, which really does cause a pinch on the substitutes. But we're really, really excited. The fact is that there's definitely interest from the email that was sent out, and we have 3 people, I believe, right now that are going to do their test and all that within the next couple weeks, but also 5 in the wings that are also moving forward with that. So super, super good news. Due to some of the brake changes, that type of thing, we definitely need some individuals back there ready to help out. So that was the reason the email was sent across the bow, to just say, hey, we need some people. So that's good news. I believe you voted on that already? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I recommend the approval of Jason Thompson as junior high wrestling supervisor, Kim Stetzel as the high school wrestling supervisor, Jason Groves as the high school girls basketball supervisor.
I move we approve those as presented.
Moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Recommend the approval of Riley Linville as a part-time high school evening custodian.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
And last but not least in personnel, I recommend the approval of Thomas Arndt as a substitute teacher.
I would like to move we approve Thomas Arndt as a substitute teacher.
Second.
Moved by Wes, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. On to other business.
All right, I'd like to recommend the approval of the collective bargaining agreement. Last Monday, we allowed for public comment for that, and there was none, so that we can move on to that recommendation.
Move we approve the collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's
Can I second?
yeah. Been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes, and I assume Steve is going to
I will need
recuse
to
himself.
Recuse myself from this vote.
Any
But I
discussion?
do want to say thank you
Yes.
to those of you that were involved in that.
Mr. McFarland did an awesome job.
It's not pretty sometimes, nor is it fun, but
Yeah, it's not bad.
it was fun.
It was a
We
good
got
mix.
there.
It's cordial.
We got there, so appreciate your work in doing that, guys.
Sir.
You see that, Caden? They say they can't hear us. All in favor?
Okay.
Motion passes 4-0 on all of them except for Mrs. Stichter's, which Steve recused himself of. And I will ask for approval of our superintendent's contract for Mr. Jeremy Riffle.
And I would like to move that we approve that contract.
I would also like to move, but I'll second because you took it first.
All right, it's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes.
Last row under my feet there, buddy.
Any discussion? To have you as our superintendent.
Just thank you, Jeremy.
Yes.
for
Thank you.
what you're
Confidence.
All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
All right, I'd like to recommend the approval of administrators' contracts. As is typical, we wait until after negotiations to do that for my contract and/or our administrator's contract. So that will roll over to a 2-year contract and obviously see the same increase as our teachers.
I move we approve the administrator's contracts.
Second.
Been moved by Wes, seconded by Ken. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
I recommend the approval of the 2024-25 corporation calendar. I did have those sitting out. I believe I've shared those with you via email. Not pretty much a carbon copy of this year's calendar. The only thing that has changed a little bit is the spring break. And the reason I draw attention to that is the fact is that is going to be bumped back a week. When I say back a week, maybe forward a week is the better way to say that. So that last week of March, and the reason for that is because of us leaving the Jesse's Special Education Cooperative, it is in our best interest and or the kids' best interest to have the same spring break as Argus and Plymouth because we'll be joining that pod. So if we were to not have school and they are to not have school in consecutive weeks, it just causes all sorts of issues. So essentially our special education population and our CTE population would not be able to have spring break with their
Families.
Yeah, so in some cases. So it makes sense to do that this year. So we wanted to get this out early. If you recall, typically we get this out in January or February. So we have discussed it ever since the end of last year and have come to the agreement that we will have very similar calendars to Plymouth and Argus for that reason. So everything else, very similar to what we're used to. And I'll be glad to get that out via our social media and emails to parents so they can plan accordingly.
Appreciate that. I move we approve that calendar.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes. Any discussion? All in,
So that is exactly the same calendar other than black and white that
yes.
they just sent out October 23rd.
Yes.
It looked exactly the same to me, but I couldn't, the colors,
Yep.
I like the color one better.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any,
And thanks for whoever.
yeah.
I have a feeling when it was scanned, it was black and
Oh,
white.
it is.
because
It's okay.
The colors do definitely help kind of differentiate where everything
Days.
is at. But,
No
so
problem.
you can have this one when you go.
No, I got your email. I just
Okay. Gotcha.
wanted to
Gotcha.
double check and
Okay.
see if I didn't miss any differences.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Next, I'd like to recommend the corporation wellness plan. Once again, that was shared. A cross-section of individuals were part of that plan. It's not extensive, it's not real difficult, it's just you do have to have students, a board member, admin, staff, nurses, a parent, health department. So there's just a lot of individuals that are part of that. And that is going to be instrumental when we have our audit that is coming up for our cafeterias this year. So that's something you have to do every 3 years. So we just, they've been pretty lax on that through COVID, but we are good through 2026, but typically annually we look at that again, so.
Again, this is state mandated, right?
Yes, through the health workers.
I'm sorry, did I say that? I move we approve that wellness plan.
Second.
Moved by Steve, second by Wes. Any discussion?
So which one of us was the lucky person to have?
It was me.
Thank you for doing
Well, I missed that meeting, but okay. I looked it over. Yes, yes.
We did meet with the kids later too, because they weren't able to attend our first meeting. So Jaden Heckman and Maya Davis were part of that from the student body. So it was a good meeting.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Last but not least, I'd like to recommend the approval of providing transportation for the Napanee Missionary Church Summer Camp students to Michigan and Ohio. They've done that the last probably 3-4 years. So I would recommend that. It's been a good thing. Our bus drivers actually have enjoyed it, and I think it's been a good thing for those kiddos.
We approve this transportation.
Second?
It's been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes. Any discussion?
You do have drivers that have signed up for that already?
Yeah, they are anxiously awaiting that to be posted. So they've enjoyed, they get their hotel paid for by the church and obviously get paid for a trip. And I believe they get free tickets to Cedar Point or wherever the kids go. And so I think they've had a good time.
All right. All right, if there's no other discussion, all in favor? Motion passes 4-0. On to superintendent's report.
All right, I did, just in case you're wondering, ask the building level leaders to, Christine happens to be out east. And then I just told Mr. McCann to stay home and enjoy his family tonight. So I'm going to cover my stuff, which typically I cover half of their stuff and my stuff. So if I have any missing pieces, we'll cover that when we get to the building level reports. But that's why they're not here tonight. Continuous improvement. I'm excited to announce that we received 100% 2023 graduation rate. So there's a lot that goes into that. Any student that enters our school corporation and leaves, but doesn't enroll in another school, that's called cohort data, and that actually counts against us. So when a child leaves, whether they're a sophomore, junior, senior, when they leave, we have to try really, really hard to make sure that they've enrolled somewhere else, so it takes that off of our books. So people can get really caught if they don't follow that student or track that student, or if they drop out. That does count against your attendance or your graduation rate. So the fact is that we have 100% means Nate had to do a lot of jockeying and work on his end to make sure that all those records were straight with the state. We're in the process of looking at an education scholarship endowment organization and planning. So I'm just letting you guys know that the counselors have been working hard with that. We've met with John Glenn School Corporation. I want to thank Chris Wenchel and his committees. They currently have a very healthy endowment and scholarship fund. Our scholarship fund's in really, really good shape, but we are looking to solidify that with the endowment, so we can continue to bless teachers, students, programs within our corporation. We do have a date set aside, April 6th. A lot more information to come. We're in the early stages of planning a Triton Education Endowment Gala. So that will be a night of fun at the Wooded Knot. I want to thank the Coopers. They have graciously given that venue for our first year for free. So that's a huge step in the right direction. So that in and of itself is a donation. John Glenn was thrilled to hear that, because they've had theirs at Four Winds and or Swan Lake the last few years, and that's one of their biggest expenses is obviously the venue. So couldn't be more happy and thrilled, and want to thank the Coopers for that generosity. We're meeting with them on Friday just to look at the venue and get a plan, but there will be a lot more information to come as we create that committee. We create just all the things, the 501c3 that goes along with that. We create kind of a board that goes along with that as well, but all coming out of really a challenge from a community member that says we can do better, right? We can do better when it comes to the scholarship piece and the supporting our teachers with and programs with outside donations. So we're taking that challenge. The weight room is complete. It looks really, really nice. There's a couple things that will be replaced just simply because they were not up to the company's standard that put them in, so that'll be coming here shortly. The lights fixed at the varsity football field. Some people didn't know that that was even a problem, but that was a stress the last few home games just simply because there was some breakers that weren't acting appropriately. And then last but not least, 8 new bus drivers. We talked a little bit about that already. We're still waiting on a couple items for improvement. Tennis courts lights are funded by the Community Health Foundation, K21 Health Foundation, and those, according to Michiana Contracting, likely will be put in next week. So looking to wrap that grant up, but also looking to have nice new lights for our community tennis courts / pickleball courts. Performing art curtains, we're still waiting on a quote from Indiana Stage on that. The trench football press box sound system quotes. We had Sweetwater in last week. If you guys recall during graduation, a lot of times it's hard to hear on the floor when the valedictorian and the salutatorian are speaking and or when Mr. McCann is speaking. We're looking to Sweetwater, who's just been phenomenal through our performing arts renovation, to come up with some solutions to that. So it's just a better environment for especially those formal events, but also for games and pep rallies, those type of things that happen. And then we're also working on some bus garage signage. That's been almost a year in the making now. Descon is working on that, but Laura has wanted to really kind of identify that bus garage now that it's been painted and the garage doors are all white and look a lot better, just so everybody knows that's where the transportation department is. So continuing to work on that. Shared leadership, Triton Elementary and Triton Junior Senior High School continue to seek out the way they can meet the strategic plans. Academic success, 100% of Triton School Corporation seniors graduated, so that was the highlight there. Investing in teacher and student success, fostering social and emotional group growth. 40 of the 65 certified staff members right now have been paid to learn about implementing TBRI, which is trust-based relational intervention, and learning how and teaching our students how to regulate their bodies and emotions, build self-awareness, work on redos, and how to use their words and also show empathy. So we're continuing to work with that Village to Village International with those key skills for our kiddos. Tonight you approved a collective bargaining agreement. We're going to see for everybody a 4 to 7% increase in their base pay. Starting teacher pay will be increased by $1,500. Additional maternity and paternity days will be added. Additional duty pay. A small retirement incentive was added if that individual lets the corporation know by February 1st that they will be retiring. An additional position to manage our performing arts and take care of the fiscal bond investment in that space. And additional compensation for our coaches who put a ton of time in the summers under the new IHSAA rules. So that's really just kind of a summary of what's in that collective bargaining agreement if people are wondering. Social responsibility, we had Trunk or Treat last month for students with disabilities. So that was a neat event, and I have a feeling that will continue to grow. Craft show from a local church that benefits their organization was held on campus. The Veterans Day programs that were held on Friday and then today. We've had a lot of good feedback on that. Triton will receive generous donation from Napanee Missionary Church, we found out yesterday, for individuals with insecurity, food insecurity needs. That money has gone towards blessings in a backpack the last few years. So I had the opportunity yesterday to hold that sign at their service and just we'll be getting funds for that. So next is building and trade scholars helped with the Habitat for Humanity House, as we talked a little bit before the board meeting. So that's a really good thing. And after helping do small projects, we'll be helping to do small projects for homeowners, churches, and organizations in the area. The same will be done in our community if communicated through our town council, which I had an opportunity to speak with them earlier this evening. And I was happy to hear that Triton graduate is the recipient of that house. So even more vested interest, so that's awesome. Discussions were had this evening in the town board work session about how the town and school corporation can continue to work together for the betterment of our towns and future. Obviously, with new board members, we always want to just kind of keep them up to speed so we don't lose momentum in that. So that conversation was had tonight. We continue to hear great things about Triton scholars who have been placed in internships and CTE opportunities. We had the opportunity last week to meet with a gentleman from OrthoWorks. Really, we've had a desire to try to get into the orthopedic industry. It's such a huge industry in our area, and I feel like we just got our foot in the door on that. So Matt Davis was a huge help with that because he's had great experiences with our students at ITMCO. We're also seeing Triton seniors begin to make their decisions for future goals. Obviously, we're posting those, whether that's enrolling in college or deciding to work for a local business. Accountability, I'm thankful for our Board of Trustees. We posted this. I know they weren't flattering pictures. I'm sorry if you guys saw those on social media. You guys were deep in thought, most of you. So Terry Bar.
He took a picture of us reading the bulletin, and we were all in, yeah, we were.
You're listening carefully to the legal updates, and I snapped a picture of you. So Terry, Kevin, Steve, Ken, and Wes, I just want to thank you guys for your service and engagement. Last week we had the special opportunity, or the opportunity to meet for the Indiana School Boards Association Fall Regional Meeting to hear about legislative agendas and how legal issues continue to impact K-12 education. High expectations, I've already stated this, so I'm going to keep it short here, but Connie Lumler, it's been probably 5-6 years ago, we had a conversation surrounding our endowment, surrounding our scholarships, and she said, Jeremy, we can do better. She had been to a couple other schools and seen that happen and just wants us to be the best. So she is helping with the charge to lead to greater scholarships and greater endowments. Those endowments, just so people kind of know what the thought is, it will lead to teacher projects and incentives, dream days, student audits, Triton Gives Back, field days, tailgates, many other ways to make Triton better. So right now, we are very conscious that we ask the same people over and over and over again for funds, whether they're small. I mean, we don't have a lot of businesses in our area, but they get tapped every time something new is coming along. So our hope is to cast that net broader to some of our alumni, individuals that have done really well in life, and Triton has made an impact in their life, to see if we can't fund a lot of those things to lessen the burden on our community. So that's the hope. That's April 6th, that we will be having that at the Wooded Knot, but more information to come on that. So just looking forward to blessing Triton through that event, have some fun things planned. Last but not least, alignment. On Friday of last week, we had a mid-year check-in with our nursing staff. Jerry Newman was here 17 years. So that transition, there's been some growing pains. There's been some things that we're already doing better, but also things that like we need to do better with our current staff. And so we continue to work to better our service for students and staff. We were able to discuss ways to adjust scheduling, be more efficient, while still providing the same voice-to-voice contact for our patrons that they're used to. I lied. We have evidence-based decision-making. So I was on a roll today, like just super excited about a lot of the great things that are happening. So another thing that happened with alignment is just badge and fob access. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but for school safety, it is a big deal to make sure that we're identified as staff if anything were to ever happen. So this is fully intended to be more intentional about wearing identification, which is a must in the world of school safety. Last but not least, evidence-based decision-making. The Science of Reading Professional Development will continue to invest in Triton Elementary staff. That will be taking place this Thursday for our delayed start. So that information will be going out to our parents just to remind them that that's happening on Thursday. Confirming that what we are doing is on track for continued growth and reinforced research-based techniques for classroom and small group instruction. Some of the data that's coming out of our classrooms, I want to congratulate Amy Blue and Lisa Andrews. Their most recent progress monitoring data showed that all of their struggling readers met their growth goal for middle of the year. All first grade teachers, their most recent progress monitoring data showed growth in letter naming, phonemic awareness, nonsense word fluency. Most students have met their middle of the year benchmark and are close to meeting it. If you recall, we're not happy with our scores, right? COVID has really hurt some of the progress that was made, and we had to recommit to a lot of the things that made us successful before that, not use it as an excuse, but use it as a challenge to get better. Congratulations to Gwenda Gard. Her most recent progress monitoring data showed all of her students meeting the middle of the year benchmark for oral reading fluency. We're only in November, but that testing doesn't happen until January, so they're already there. So a ton of time to make progress and continue to expand that. Jennifer Schetzel shared that she really likes utilizing the progress monitoring data this year to inform her instruction, and she has seen growth in all of her students' reading skills. So using the data to inform instruction, so evidence-based decision-making, making sure that we're following that, and we're hoping that that just continues to expand as teachers see that it works. So I covered a lot of things corporation-wide. Parent-teacher conferences were a success, so this is an elementary report. Feed My Starving Children, we had 160 junior hires go to Feed My Starving Children just last week, so that was awesome. Upcoming events, freshman orientation for the high school, 6:30 in the auditorium on November 20th, CTE fair. Grade 9 and 10 audits are coming up. November 30th is CTE application day. Thursday, PD with staff will focus on the instructional model. Elementary Red Ribbon Week was last week, so we obviously spoke to the students and continue to review why it's important to be drug-free. Student Council raised over $700 for Operation Quiet Comfort. Our walkathon raised over $6,000, and that goes towards funding field trips. New desks and new chairs are working out. Parent-teacher conferences, over 90% participation. The new Trojan Pride t-shirt is out and is pretty awesome. And that was a lot of talking, and I apologize. But a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff happening. So appreciate your guys' support, and just know that staff and students are working hard.
All right, we did superintendents and building reports together, so we went over patrons' comments, seeing there's no one in attendance. We will, if there's no other business, we'll move to adjourn at 7:26.